back to this episode of Smash Engineering. If you own an electric bike of any kind, chances are you went to go ride it and found out that your throttle was broke. Also, I don't know why I'm wearing this stuff. I hope you guys thought that was funny because it took a few takes, and you know, sometimes when you're trying to fix something, you're frustrated if you're like me, and you're not in the best mood looking up this video. So hopefully that raises your mood a little bit. But anyway, what we're gonna do today is show you how to swap out the throttle on, this happens to be a Jetson, but they make other models of this that are almost identical. We're gonna show you how to fix this. I'm also gonna show later on in the video, I'm gonna show how the internals function, how to change your battery, how to upgrade your battery if that's what you wanna do, and also what the wires that go to the controller do, because I've looked everywhere and you cannot find a steady controller diagram or wire diagram for this thing at all. If you find one, please post a link in the comments below. Help people out. This was a mess. I spent hours looking this up, and but let's go ahead and get started, and I'll show you what to do. All right, so once you get it into a environment that you can work in, sorry if the lighting's a little bad. I'm learning, trying to make it better, but you'll get the idea. Get it somewhere safe. The first thing you're gonna do is nothing to do with the handle. Actually, what you're gonna need to do, besides ordering a new throttle, and I got one with a key on off, but you're gonna order a new throttle, and I'll put a link, or I'll put a thing over top of it. It comes with both sides, and this one's nice, and this wasn't expensive. I want to say it was sub $20, so it's under 20 US dollars at the time of filming this. So with the way inflation's going, who knows? But first things first, you're gonna need some type of a pick or some type of something small that you can get in here without damaging these pieces. You'll wanna take these out, and you do wanna remember where they go. They are specific. They're different sizes. These two are a little different sized, and then this one here is even smaller, I believe. Yeah, so you'll want to keep those, set those aside. Once you get all of those out, you're going to need a Phillips. And these are simply a Phillips. And they look like this. So you'll take, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of those out. And once you've taken all of them out, it'll be much easier for you because you won't be filming while trying to do this. Once you take all of them out, yours will have this charger port in the side here, which is where you, at this moment, currently would charge your battery. And I just don't want to lose this screw. I don't know why it's being like this. Yeah, that screw's not cooperating. Anyway, it's going to stay stuck in there until I set it somewhere, and it's going to fall out without me knowing. But anyway, this will be attached to your stock battery. The reason I've already taken this apart is because I have already upgraded this one to a Samsung. It's an upgraded battery because the original battery in this one was going bad. So yes, yours will not look exactly like this. Your battery will be mounted inside of these. So you'll take these two top bolts out. You'll be able to pull these out, slide your battery out the back like this. So the battery's normally here. And if you have one of these, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. To upgrade your battery, this is as far as you have to go. The new battery, this one at least, comes with its own charging port, which you could cut these wires and adapt them to these, solder them to these. I'm not gonna do that. What I have done is the battery sits like this. The charging port actually has enough wire on it to come out of the case, and I just charge it right off of this. So it's directly to the battery, no playing around, no games. But yeah, you can do it either way. And then if you do upgrade your battery, you'll want to get this extender. I don't know if I have a link to it. If I find a link to it, I'll stick it on there, so don't hold me to that. But the extender plugs into your original wiring and then extends out to the back of the battery so that you can put this type of battery in. Now, you could plug it in like this, but then your charge, in my instance, the charge cord won't reach out the back. So my battery is mounted like this, inside of these. Let's show you real quick. So the battery will look like this. So once you remove the two screws here, you'll simply slide out your old battery, unplug everything, and then upgrade it to your new one, slide your new one in there. However your new one comes, depending on what brand you get, will have either this type of plug or it'll be adaptable into your side cover. And then you're left with, this is your controller over here. And the wiring for these bikes comes right down. Let's move this out of the way. The wiring comes straight down the tube inside here. So it comes down this tube out here. You'll have some wiring loom protecting the wires, which I've already removed. Sorry, a lot of this video I've had to do, obviously you see everything is labeled. I had to do a lot of research before I even knew exactly how to fix this. So there are some things done. I'm kind of working backwards here, but I'm going to run you through it. I'll try to show everything and best I can. And that way you can still understand what happened here and what's going on. When you open yours up, if it's anything like mine, these wires are going to be an absolute rat's nest. So I went through, I labeled them all, I unplugged them, and I ran them the way that keeps them from being all wrapped up in themselves. Because you don't want to deal with anything or anyone that's all wrapped up in themselves. So let's loosen this bolt on here. Just going to do this to get this out of the way for the time being. We don't need those in our way because we're going to be working. But yeah, so I'll put a diagram at some point in the video of this controller, what model it is, and what all these outputs are and what they do as far as the function of the bike goes. There are extra outputs that even the OEM didn't use. The original equipment manufacturer for this didn't use. Some of these are like a blinker or, you know, miscellaneous things that you won't need. So yeah, so let's go ahead and get started. This one had a 6 prong plug, whatever you want to call it, a 6-pin plug. I didn't know that when I ordered the replacement that I got, and I ordered one that is not a 6-pin. It is a 5-pin. So I had to kind of reverse engineer because, like I said earlier in the video, I could not find a wiring diagram. So I had to kind of reverse engineer this and figure out what functions on this. I had bought this with not enough time to return it and order a different one. And to be honest with you, I like having the key lockout and I like the digital display. These come with like a bars display, and that doesn't tell me a whole lot. So I like to be able to take the key out when I'm going into Whole Foods and getting some food, and I like to be able to feel a little more secure like that. But obviously these are light enough that if someone wants to steal it, they'll just pick the whole thing up, throw it in the back of their big diesel truck, and be gone with your way of life. So let's go ahead and I isolate which wire is the throttle wire, which is this one here. And what I did was like a tug method. I pushed it up in there so that it's loose, and then I feel up here which wire it is that I'm pulling, and eventually you'll be able to feel that the wire you're pulling on, which is this one here, as I feed it in and as I pull it back, I feel the response. And you can look at the size of the wire if they're all, but these are pretty much the same size, these two here. So you got one that goes to your on-off switch up on the left-hand side, and you got one that goes to your throttle, battery, and cruise button. The other thing about this is I couldn't find any replacement ones with the cruise button still there. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, so this is the throttle wire. I've made sure, and I never plan on using it again. I do, however, need the plug off of it because the one I bought, it came with a different plug. Oh, another thing that might be nice to have is these depinning tools. I have these for automotive stuff, but they did work good for depinning the original plug that was on here, because obviously this plug is nowhere near what I need. So the one I need is this one. So and they use a nice waterproof plug. So what I'm going to do is cut the wire back here, and I'll be soldering these. I'll be cutting this and soldering them on and heat shrinking and everything so that it'll adapt it to this style plug. So as much as I hate doing it, the next step is, oh, that hurt. We're cutting that off because we need that later down the road. We'll set that with that. And now what we're going to do is, I like yard sailing. And whenever I find solid wire at yard sales, I buy it. I think I paid $5 for this. It's a 1/4 mile of 17 gauge wire. And I use this for making caliper holders. Like when you're working on a car, you can bend hooks in this and hang it on things. Or in this instance, I have some thinner stuff that's not 17 gauge. It's like, I don't know, 20 gauge or something. It's a lot thinner. That I use usually for routing wires through stuff. So, but this is all I can find, and I'm in a time crunch here, so I'm going to make this work. What I'm going to do is see how long that I need. So I need to pull a wire through that. So I'm going to give myself quite a bit of extra because I don't want to just make one specialty tool. We're going to cut it off right there, like that. And then I always, to keep this from unwinding, I like to put a little hook on it and hook it on itself. It keeps it from turning into a rat's nest. All right, we'll set that aside. And then what I'm going to do on this is make a little bend like that. And I will tape it with the electrical tape to this. And I'm going to pull this wire out while pulling, I'm going to pull this wire out, while pulling this wire in until we get to here. And then what I can do with this wire is hook my new one to it and pull it through the frame, route it through the frame. So let's go ahead and do that next step here. All right, so we're going to take some electrical tape. We're going to put this on here. Now, what's bad about this wire is it's not ultra flexible. So this might end up backfiring on me, but we'll give her a try. Once you get it in there, you get tight with it. And then since this wire is so stiff, I'm going to kind of straighten it out so that it pulls through gently. And I think I said it was that one. Nope, it's this one. Now I've lost which one it is. This one? Is it this one? Oh, it's this one. Okay. Now it's going to go up into the frame. Make sure you move your other wires out of the way a little bit. Let it get up in there. Hopefully this can make the bend. I don't know if it's going to or not. It's just looking sketchy. Alright, it's in there. That's good. And there's a little grommet right here. We're going to get that out of the way for the time being. If it'll let me. Should just come out. There we go. This loosens everything up a little bit. And then as you pull, oh geez, my kickstand went down. As you pull on this wire, you push on the other one. So we're pulling and pushing. Oh, I see our tape. This is a good sign. All right, so now, as you can see, I have a route to pull my wiring back through. Make it look a little better. So let's go ahead and untape this. Oh, that actually was going to hold really well. That's good. I wonder if I have enough to just go all the way. I might. Yeah. Cool. That'll work. I'm going to put a little hook on this so I don't accidentally pull it all the way through, because that would not be good. All right, so let's go ahead and move to this one then. I was going to do this in 2 sections. Let's go ahead and push and pull, push and pull. All right, and again, the grommet is now in the way. So we're going to pop this grommet out as well, if it'll let me. There we go. This gives you more room to work with. Oh, and this is binding. Look at that. Birth the wire. All right, so now we'll see where my end is. This is really off-putting.
You should be off-putting.
That hurts. But I agree, I probably should be off-putting. Why you gotta say things like that when we're recording?
Just trying to be helpful.
Oh. That's what I pay you for, right?
You get what you pay for.
Alright, make sure you feed it through the grommets, because when you do eventually pull your wire back through, you'll want that to slide through easily. Alright, the other thing you're going to need, and I apologize, but I don't remember what size it is, you're going to need an Allen key to loosen the back little set screw here. That's what locks this whole piece on, and you're ready to out with the old. You're gonna take that off. Now I'm gonna save this because, like I said, I would like to keep this functional. I don't need the battery indicator because the new handle has one. But if you wanted to keep the battery indicator and maybe mount it somewhere on the side, you could definitely do that. It's an independent unit. It's got these two wires coming off. You just need power and negative. So you got your power and negative, and it will tell you what your voltage is. I would do it on the key on side, so you don't want it always saying what your voltage is, so it runs your battery down. But you know, that's for those more advanced people that like to wire out there. So we're gonna set this aside because we're done with that for now. And the next order of business is to semi-install this. That's our new one, and this will allow us to run our wiring down. So what we're going to want to do is get all the sharp bends out of this as much as possible, so that way it goes down in there. I'm out of breath doing this. Maybe I should be off-putting. God. I did have to run out to the outside shop to get the wiring bell, so there's a little excuse there, but
No, it's the pistachio pudding.
You're gonna tell them what my favorite kind of pudding might be? Alright, so again, we're gonna get a little bit of black tape. Pudding. I'm gonna start on the end here, and you're gonna want to wrap all these wires in some way that they don't. Oh, great. My finger folded it over. There we go. In some way that they don't they don't bend while you're trying to pull them through. You want them all to kind of be right straight with the wire. This is a very much so tighter area than I'm used to using this for, but this should still work. Hopefully this will still work. What you really don't want happening is this coming undone inside there, and then you can't pull it either which way. So I'm going to put an extra round of tape up front here. Kind of helps it turn into more of a taper as it goes in. Less chance of getting stuck on things. And then, of course, you've made this hook here. You want to cover that hook up because we're not trying to hook on anything. So we're going to put a little bit of tape around that. Sorry if the lighting's not great. Alright, now, hopefully, we're ready to start pulling this down through. So the first thing I'm going to do is straighten out my bend that I put in that. Get it through the grommet. If you know a better way, do your way. this is what I have that works for me at the moment. Let's turn this. All right, we're gonna start pulling down and pushing in. So we're feeding that wire down. It's already wanting to get caught on stuff. That's just wonderful. I did love it. This grommet is definitely not helping things. Let's see. Try not to damage any of these grommets. Oh, right as I said that, I destroyed that grommet. That's not great. It's glued? Oh, it's glued. That would be why. Okay, that's why it wasn't coming through. It was caught on the edge of that. All right. So, you know, even when you're trying to be careful, I shouldn't have used pliers on that. That was my bad. So just feed all your slack through. Leave yourself a little bit up there. But you don't want a ton, but you want enough that you could unbolt this and take it off. So that's not enough quite. It's still not enough. There we go. So you want to be able to take that off and put it back on with your slack, and we'll zip tie the extra up in there and out of the way. All right, so now we're shifting gears. Man, I'm upset that I ruined that grommet. Oh well, it'll be fine. Oh, I see. The brake. So your brake lever on this is a solid steel like cable. It is not very flexible. So when I was pulling out on the piece up here, it the brake thing was jammed against it. That's why it ripped like that. Still my fault, but yeah. All right, so next, let me trade you spots. So I'm not creating a shadow. Next, we're gonna go this way. So we're gonna line it up, make sure it's nice and straight, get it through the grommet, get it into the frame, and just gently pull on the wire side and push on the other one. That is jammed up on something. There we are. And this is probably the least fun part of this whole ordeal. And I've seen where people will just, you know, like zip tie the wire. Oh, where's my old one? They'll replace it and they'll just kind of run the wire down this and zip tie it, like, you know, like on here, and then zip tie it here, and then zip tie it there, and then they drill a hole or whatever and bring it in the case. You can do that if you want. There's nothing wrong with that as long as you fix it and you're happy with it. You know, it's your bike. But I like to run things how they were intended to be run for many reasons. For one, for waterproofing. These little grommets help keep water out, unless you rip them like an idiot, like I did. But yeah, so check everything. Everything looks good. The wires are freely moving. Nothing's bound up. Got that. I didn't find anything here, so we're good. We're in. And now we'll untape this. And when doing this, you're going to need about 400 multimeters. Because if you're like me, you have them and the batteries all go dead, and you got to find which one still works. And yeah, so you go to Harbor Freight and you just buy a ton of them, because honestly, these are cheaper than the batteries that go in them in most situations. But anyway, coming back over here, to figure out what does what, I de-pinned the plug, obviously, like I said, and our wires all ran, and I put my grommets back on and everything. So be careful when you're doing this. Don't have your battery plugged in until you're ready to test it. But what I did was I had to figure out which wire did which, and I used alligator clips and such to do so. This blue wire is your on-off switch, which I haven't hooked up yet, and I don't know exactly how I'm going to do it yet, but this is just to show you how the throttle works. So you got your 3 wires. These are Hall effect sensors inside of the throttle. Sorry. I'm just using this depinner to get in there to get power to it. So if you look up here, We'll turn on the key. It's going to tell you your voltage. And then if you look back at the wheel, we're going to test out the throttle. So that is how you test that you got the right wiring. So now what you could do is write down what you have here, which I have already written it down. And that lets me know what wires in this plug that I need to adapt these wires to. So if you look, the wires in this plug are not the same color code as the wires out here. So where this brown one is, I'm going to be hooking the yellow wire. The two wires here I'm not using at the moment. Those are the cruise wires, which I will be using later. And then these black, blue, and red wires will be switched over to black, green, and red. So not super different, but enough that you don't want to get it mixed up. So always when you're working with these, because these batteries can be explosive, unplug your battery. Man, I'd hate to try to do this while it's blowing up. Wouldn't. Let's shut the power down. Okay. That's the other thing. Oh, cool. So my on-off thing still works over here too, even though the switch is there. Okay. So let's unplug the battery. This just isolates because this isn't a car battery, folks. This here is 36 volts. So it could give you a little wake-up call if you're not careful. So I'm going to make note of what wires go where. I'm going to cut the wires from the harness now. Remove all this. This is the D-pinner. I just used it as a probe. If you have a probe wire, you can use that, but I don't have one with me at the moment. So the original bike wiring, I'm not altering at all. So if someone bought this from me in years prior, or years ahead, and they wanted to switch the throttle back, maybe at that point in time they sell an OEM throttle for this or something. All they're gonna do is unplug. So this will be all retrofitted together like this. They'll simply unplug this just like you would a stock one and plug a stock one in. One thing I hate doing, if I can help it, is modifying the original wiring. I like to just make my stuff almost piggyback off the original stuff. So these notes are from me. This wire here is your brake light rear. This is the headlight. This harness here, if you got this bike, this is your headlight switch. So your master on off is the green and the white. The headlight switch is the red and yellow. Your throttle and display voltage is the purple, orange, black, red, green, and is that black again? Yeah, black again. And then to your motor, which these are ones you won't mess with unless you're modifying your motor, which is down inside of here. Those are you have your three-phase, you have your yellow, green, and blue, and then you have your controller for your settings. So this right here is what took the longest, because you cannot find this anywhere, and I'm not charging you guys for it. All I ask in return for giving you this information is that you pause the video real quick, or go in, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, go down there, leave me a comment saying, yeah, you should be off-putting, but thanks for all the help. We appreciate it. And I appreciate that. Not the pudding thing, but the other part. All right, so what I'm gonna do now is mostly focused here. So I'm gonna cut the wiring here because I don't need this. I don't need any of this. You could possibly de-pin this and slide the pins in there. That's not what I'm gonna do. I'd much rather leave the OEM pin alone, because you can bend the little pin pieces and then they don't hold as well. So what I'm gonna do is solder to these. I was going to stagger these, but I don't think I'm going to now. I actually think I'm just going to make it a flat plug. it'll work. Red. Then what I do is I twist these all together. This is just my technique. It does not have to be your technique. Twist all the little strands. Together. And then what I like to do is dip them, or at least tin them with a little bit of solder. First we'll clean the tip of this off. Let's see. I think my soldering iron's quite warm enough yet. Not hot enough yet to really melt the solder. There we go. So you feed some onto the soldering gun, and then what you do is kind of just drag it across. Of course, whenever you're doing this, the smoke goes right in your face. You drag it across the wire. It's called tinning it. Kind of just bonds everything together. Another good thing to do if you have some is there's some paste flux that you can put on, and it makes the wires. You've seen how that one kind of absorbed it. Now watch this one. Just stab the wire into it. A little bit of that on there, and it'll suck it right to the wire. Much easier. All right, here's where you're gonna stop and get your heat shrink tubing. If you go any farther, you will not be able to put this on. So we're gonna grab some heat shrink tube here. Oh wait, I need the smaller one. Is this the smaller one? Are they the same? Oh yeah, that's smaller. I don't know if that's smaller or not. It looks smaller, but so I'm gonna grab some heat shrink tubing. This is the one that I have. It's 3-to-1 adhesive line, so it's got like a rubber, like a rubberized, almost like hot glue inside of it. It seals it. It's waterproof, dual wall, flame retardant, the whole 9 yards. I don't know what brand that is, but I got it off old Amazon, Mr. Bezos. So, and this is where you're going to figure out how long of a piece you want, and you're going to slide it over the wires before you forget. So I'm going to use lengths about like that because I want it to cover both sides but not be extremely long. So I'm going to cut all these. I got 4. So I got 4 heat shrink tubes. Cut all these down to what I want. And you could leave them full length if you want. It just makes them harder to harder to bend inside. Okay, so now we haven't yet tinned these. My tip is giving me trouble here. If your solder won't go to the tip very well, then you probably need to clean it. That's what I'm dealing with. Okay, so now I got some solder, little solder bubble on there. We're gonna tin this. It's taking a little longer because I got a lot of flux on there. It has to burn the flux off. The flux, while it melts off, kind of cleans the wire. So I gotta wait for that to kind of boil off, and then it'll accept the flux. You might be able to see it easier in the video than I'm thinking. But so now that you got all that done, it's time to slide these over it. You just want to slide them down out of the way. So I got one on the black wire. If you don't do this, you'll have to use black tape or something. Because once you solder these, unless you want to pull them back apart, they will be what they will be. Okay, so double and triple checking my wiring here. Let's get this area clean a little bit. Double and triple checking this, I need to go black to black, green will go to blue, and red will stay to red. Okay, so now that I know that, I'm going to take, this is a trick I like to do, you don't have to do this. I like to take and bend these into like a hook shape. These are not the pliers that I normally use, but these will work. Needle nose. Bend it into a hook. Do the same thing on this side. Bend it into a hook. And you'll see why in just a second. So, if you're soldering alone and you don't have the helping hands, which I'm assuming people watching the channel probably don't, so I'm not going to use mine. I do have a set. What I like to do, so I know that my green, these 3 go to the motor, so these 3 go to here. What I like to do is put the hooks into each other, like such. That way, what I can do is bend the hooks down on each other. It holds it while you try to solder it. So, not working great, but it'll function. So now that's already hooked together. There's lint in it. And there's many methods of doing things. Everyone has their own tricks, but that's what I like to do. And then I take a little bit of solder, and the solder that's there will all melt and form one solid solder piece really quickly, and you don't melt the wire. Now, the reason I said to put that on beforehand, because now you slide that over it and use a heat gun to shrink that on there. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the rest of them. I believe it's black to black. Need something more precise here. Those big gumpy needle nose are not working. There we go, it's a little better. So then, it's nice because if you do it just right, it becomes a really solid joint, and you can just kind of put tension out against it, like I'm doing here, and you get to do it without having to be an octopus man or woman. More solder. Just like that. So it's a nice solid joint. That one could use a little more solder, but it's not going anywhere. And then green to green. I have an actual dedicated pair of needle nose for doing this. They're more precision. Getting the amount I need on there. Make sure you don't drip it on yourself. It doesn't feel great. These hooks would be much smaller and more precise, of course, with my other ones, but these are Harbor Freight wire strippers, so any of you could own a set. We'll get some more solder in here. Quite as much as I want. Okay, so once you got all of the connections that you're going to use at the moment soldered, these are the cruise control ones, which I'm leaving as an option to wire my cruise control button in eventually. So these will just wire straight to this, but I'll probably put a plug in there and extend it a little bit to go in the side housing. So I'm just going to leave those there. They're not going to short on anything because there's nothing sticking out. And then I'm going to shut down my soldering gun here, let all that cool. And what I'm going to do before I heat shrink this all, I'm going to just verify that I have it correct. I'm going to plug this in and function everything, make sure everything functions, and that I'm happy with it. All right, so we got that soldered. Like I said, I haven't heat shrank those yet because I want to give it a test. But I do have these where they're not able to touch, so we're going to go ahead and plug in our OEM style connector. We're going to ensure that everything is like it should be. We'll plug in our battery, and then we'll come up here and we'll turn on our power. That's our main power. So you can see power's on, but you can't go anywhere because you haven't turned that on. And let's point it at the back wheel. And I pull back on the throttle. All right, I'll shut this off, turn off the main power. We are in business. So now, just for safekeeping, they don't make this easy to unplug. I don't know why. Okay, put the battery back here because that's the explosive part, and I'm gonna go ahead and heat shrink these on. Now I'm leaving these there. I don't know that I'll do it in this video, but literally if you have these wires, all it is a push button. You don't even have to use this one that comes with it. It's literally a momentary on and off. It doesn't click or stay on or anything. You can just solder whatever, but these go to this, and it doesn't matter the orientation. That's your cruise control. You don't have to use them. I probably never used my cruise control, but I don't want to lose it because the moment I delete it from the system, I won't have it. So what I could do is drill a hole right here in the plastic, pop this through from the other side, and then obviously the back will be there, and I could wire these direct to that if I wanted to. But what I would do is put a plug in here. I have these. They make these. Yeah, this is a 3-wire one, but they make these plugs that you can buy. Oh, that just made a mess. Okay, so they have these plugs you can buy that. I'm doing it backwards. Okay, yeah. They have these plugs you can buy that pop together like that, and you can trim these wires down to whatever length you need. So I could put one, and you don't have to use all the wires. I could use say the red and the white for here, hook the white and the red up, and then this could hook to solder to the back of that, and then it would be unpluggable. So it's just if you needed to service it, you could take it out and unplug it, and you're not hardwired to anything. I hate when someone does something and like say they had this soldered straight to there and I need to unplug this to work on it. Now I can't because these are soldered. So I'm unsoldering things. Just make things user friendly. That's all. And these are cheap. I don't know. Let's see. Those are just that, but you can get two plug, 3 plug, 5 plug, whatever. I got these for a different video that I made. The Air Hog Star Wars battery. I used these on. It was cheaper to buy a whole pack of them than it was to buy just the one, as weird as it is. So, but as much as I do on this channel, I will eventually use them again. And like I said, you don't have to use all 3 wires. You just got to make sure whatever wires you use on the one side, you correlate that to the other side. So let's go ahead and get this heat shrink and put it back together and take her for a ride. I'm excited. All right, so what we're gonna do now is use a hair dryer to put on the hottest setting. And put on low, and you're going to hold it on the wires until they shrink how you need them. You don't have to overdo it, just enough. On these ones that you know they're done when the stuff, oh there it goes, starts oozing out the end. It doesn't take long. Yeah, I used a hair dryer. If you have a heat gun, that's the proper way. But a hair dryer is what most of us might have in the house. And if you see on these, a little hard to see, but there's like a silicone that squeezes out the ends, and that seals the wire. But all right, so now we're done there. So I'm going to go ahead and finish protecting them with a little bit of this. This is just more of an extra step. You don't have to do this part, but I'm just doing this so that way if over time vibrations on the bike and whatnot don't cause something to rub through, granted it probably never would, but I'll just put a double coating on here. those are all protected and good to go. I did leave this a little longer than probably needed to be because it only has to plug in there. I probably could have cut out quite a bit of it, but I like to be able to maneuver the wires neatly before I plug them in. So let's go ahead and I haven't decided whether I want to integrate that into the cover or not. I guess I'm kind of at the point where I would have to make that decision. It kind of needs to be on this side because you're throttling on this side. Throttling here, you'd need to either push the button there or reach down and hit this button here. Let's see what we got here. If this mounts here, I could probably get away with putting it right here. I will do that at a later date. We'll get this video done. This video is not about how to relocate your cruise control button. Could even technically mount it up here somewhere and have it just be a push button. Mount it maybe in here or something. I don't know. The option's there, and I left the option here for it. So what I am going to do, though, in the meantime is just put, just to keep these from shorting out on anything, I'm going to go ahead and wrap these like that, and then we'll do this one like that, and that'll keep them isolated as well from touching anything important. All right, let's go ahead and reinstall the battery, I guess, so we can route the wires. So these wires come in there. I think I might actually route the wires behind the battery thing here. Maybe I'll do it like that. Yeah, I like that. It's much cleaner. And I've said this in my other videos, but whenever you go to thread back into plastic, go backwards until you hear a, and then you know you're not going to make new threads. That's always helpful. And these will come up through here, down through there, like that. This is going to plug in. Let's see. I guess let's get this one where I need it real quick too, so we know. Battery down. Okay. And then we make sure that the main power cable has a spot that it's not going to get pinched into anything. So we'll put that up there. I like that. Alright, and then everything in here wants its own spot. So, if we plug, this is our new throttle, and like that, and then, where are we going to use, put the extra like this. Actually going to tuck it up behind here. And however you decide to tuck your wires, obviously, that's completely up to you. You can do it however it works best for you. Personally, if I would have been thinking about it, I probably would have shortened that wire because there's no need for it to be that long, but it's perfectly okay. I'll put the rest of these wires up. Totally meant to leave enough room there. Too close. That. Oh, that one was meant to go in there too. Cool. Okay, so that's nice and neat. None of them are being pinched. None of them are being stretched. This will go this way as well. That'll plug in over here. That'll go there. This comes out through here, so just need a placeholder for that real quick. There we go. So that'll go there. This extra wire can get tucked up in here. There's a lot of wire in this little area here. It's pretty crazy. There's really no like wire tuck areas to actually put any of this. It just kind of all gets jammed in here. Pretty crazy how they do it. But it works. They do it, obviously. Okay. Toughest part of this, I can already tell, is going to be getting this all in here without pinching it in the, we'll call this the clamshell, without clamping it in the clamshell. I'm going to run that like that. Stay in there. And last but not least, we will plug in our battery. We'll give it a quick test. It's on. Alright. So we know everything's functioning, so everything's plugged in, nothing got wiggled loose or anything like that. And I believe we're out of the way of all the bolts. There is room, obviously, in the in this side of the clamshell. It's not going to be super jammed. There's room in this for wires to be in here too, but you want them out of the way while you're, like, if these wires get pinched in there and cut or whatever, it's not going to be good. So this is a charger that I no longer use. So it just kind of sits in here. We don't mess with it. If someone ever switched this back to the original style battery, they'd be happy to still have this. Obviously, like I said, I charge off of this one. So let's go ahead and double check. So we'll look at all of our bolt points. No wires, no wires, no wires. This is all going to get tucked in there as I push it closed. No wires. Everything looks good, neatly routed. Don't worry about that. We won't talk about that. And put this together. Perfect. Okay. Now oh, that's the seal. I'm wondering, like, what is Why is it? I feel a little bit of pushback, but I guess it's probably just the water seal. So then we'll stick this, and all these were the same size. So we'll stick that in there. Go backwards till we hear it click. We got our first one back on. Okay, got them all in. All right, once you got all those tight, we're gonna put the, I guess you call it the longer rubber plugs in where they go. They kind of match the angle to which the contour. So you'll kind of know where they go. This one's a real shallow contour, so you look for your shallow ones. Here's a shallow one here. Doesn't have to be perfect, but if you're a perfectionist like me, it will bug you. Don't be a perfectionist. There's no fun in it. All right, so now you have installed, not only did I show you how to, I guess I'll have to double take this video, double list this video, showed you how to change the throttle, and I showed you how to upgrade your battery. Instead of using this charge port here, you simply use this one here. So it's really not that big of a difference. Part of me would want to wire this into this. I just really don't have the time for it, and nor the care. It works just fine like this. So, but yeah, let's go take this thing for a ride. Let's give it a test ride. All right, so we got it all back together. Unfortunately, we've lost the sun, and I want to get this video done. So let's try it out. Here's the key. Come around here. We'll power it on, but there's no power yet. We'll stick our key in. Turn it on. We got 39.9 volts, and we'll take her for a ride. It's got a headlight too. All right, here we go. Maiden voyage. Oh, it's fast. Oh, goodness. Works great. I'm stoked on it. Well, that's going to pretty much that's going to pretty much round up this episode. If you like what you see, throw me a like, throw me a subscribe, throw some comments down in there if you've had some experience with this bike. This is my first experience with a electric bike. I wish this had pedal assist, but it doesn't. But yeah, I don't know what the top speed. I think 30 is the top speed for this bike. But yeah, throw us a comment, throw us a like, throw us a subscribe, and remember to always help somebody you can. And we'll catch you on the next one. Oh, at the end of this, if I didn't already, I'll put the different wiring diagram pictures that I have to go ahead and help you out with your repair. So thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.